Alright, guys, so I'm here to talk about the stupidity, or should I call it idiocy, of the theory of evolution. You see, I might be young, but even I can see that this theory is to some degree illogical. Everybody knows the evolutionary tree by now. Well, not everybody, but logically speaking, it's still stupid. Even if you look at it, it's like saying an ant turned into an elephant over the time. What happened to its antennas? Why did it stop being blind? Why did it develop a long trunk and lose its antlers? Whatever those things are called. Those so why did so many bodily changes that were completely unnecessary continuously happen to the point that it grew into a completely different creature? Like, how does that work? No matter how many ancient creatures that you use, there's no way that a small creature with which is small enough size to collect tons of food, eat them for a longer period of time, leading to a greater chance of survival, as long as it stayed in its den, would evolve into a creature which is larger and more preyed upon than other creatures. And why would ants, different kinds of ants, evolve into creatures to actually eat the smaller ants? It's like anteaters and actually other such things. While they grow into different kind of genetically complex beings from the same similar la group, or even one, what was it called, one type of whatever being that just spawned out of nowhere, a being without any possible explanation, which is completely justifiable and knowable. And then after that, for some reason, this cellular thing they decided to actually grow into multiple cell bodies which are conjoined together. The smallest cell body which is conjoined together is a small insect, right? But this small insect is so complex that it is an unnecessary need. It's actually not even a need, it's completely unnecessary. Give me a second. Well, that's better. You see, what you're saying is basically that creatures get more complex to simplify. You see, to everything that we've seen from the natural world, it is quite simple to see that, well, creatures don't complexify. They don't. Once they reach a certain point, they completely stop growing. But there was already the habitat which was at that point. So why did they continue growing? Some of you might ask. Because your theory makes no sense. It's just basically like saying a cellular group which had tons of food and could have and could inhabit that area turned into multiple different cellular beings that eat each other. Do you know how dumb that sounds? It's like a dog if evolving into another dog that eats its other dog. You might say wolf packs don't do that. I don't think so. I might just do a real quick research to actually. Well, somehow it appears that to some profounding situation that the only circumstance of a dog eating a dog is a reference for a word. Really, if there was a continuous evolutionary chain, wouldn't there subspecies of dogs eating weaker or smaller subspecies of dogs? But even animals do not resort to cannibalism. So why would a being evolve into a slightly more evolved being, then a more evolved being, whilst they were already at an area whereby which they're living in a way that is acceptable to living conditions, enough for them to evolve. And do you know the signs that show up to evolution? Sight changes in the being. Does it change the species? Technically, no. It just turns them into races somehow. Like how you can combine multiple different dog breeds. It is basically just the being looking different, but still being enough to actually be combined. You actually do know that genetic breeding only takes place when they're kind of the same species, right? So as you can see, I even did a little bit of research to actually be sure beings of the same species are the only ones that can breed. Huh? Then how did we get here? In atheist terms, you see, what they say is that we somehow got here due to multiple different beings evolving and evolving and evolving. But how do you know that at some point the beings that have a very low chance of evolving somehow have evolved into the greater beings that we know now? There are no subsidiaries. There are no things which show that evolutionary change. But for some reason, atheists completely, wholeheartedly believe in the theory of evolution to the point that it looks like fanatical faith. It's just like saying we can see that in intermediary stages, but they're still there. That's faith. We can see the connection between different genuses because only species can breed together, but it's there. And by every single thing that we've seen, the only changes that are there is, well, for human skin color. Yes, I had to do that. Why did I do that? I don't know. So for human skin color, and what else do we have? And slight border changes like those people in China that live on mountains, allowing them to actually breathe a lower density air. But it doesn't change the way that they physically appear or make them different species. Different environments do not try to turn us into different creatures. It just turns us into more modified beings to allow us to actually live in the area that we live in. That's what evolution theory started from, then went haywire, going somewhere else to completely, well, destroying itself. It's the Darwin himself said, if I remember correctly, we have a theory of evolution, right? So he didn't say it exactly like this, but I'll say it in a term that makes sense. There are no subsidiary beings that we can currently observe, but we'll find them in the future to actually better prove it. Did we find them? Did we find a subsidiary? No. It's just like saying a slight change in a species, making it a race, can turn it into a completely different species. That's like jumping the gun. And adaptive change is a way a creature adapts to its surrounding environment. Some of the time, not even changing any physical way that they look, just so they can stay in that area. I don't think that's evolution. I think that's just, well, what do they call it? Adaptation. Yes, adaptation. Adapting to your environment to actually help you better survive. Yeah. It's like how teenagers, for some unknown reason, change to the. I mean, it is known they're just weak. They change the way that they act so they can socialize with the popular kids. They act in a way that they can accept. But this is psychology. It doesn't change their body to a body that they like more. Like how? Let's say recessive genes, right? You know how when you are breed with somebody who's called, when you have sexual intercourse with somebody who is extremely closely related to you, a genetic thing which was left behind is reformed. Yes, something which was far back like your ancestors or something, which was repressed in your bloodline, shows back up. So let's think about it. Due to some scientific studies, it has been discovered that all humans came from two humans. Surprising, isn't it? But what's my point here? Well, if we came from two Homo sapiens, as you so call it, then anytime that we have sexual intercourse, wouldn't it always equal to a Homo sapien? It's like saying that this thing, a group of things, evolve into a different species, even though we actually haven't seen species evolution. We've seen changes in the bodies and modifications for the environment, but the being never ever changed into a species. Show me as a species changing into a different species, and if you do, somehow, then show me a genus, a bunch of species turning it into a different genus. in a way that is illogical, showable, and in a way that is understandable. Like, you can't just show me an ant, then an elephant, then you say that's evolution. Show me a change. Show me a sequence of events that continuously allow this to happen. Like, you know how they say a certain type of dog evolved into a whale. Yeah, I'm looking at you like that. So you're saying a dog, a creature that say, or should I just say canine, a creature that stayed at the land and only ever swims to actually go to another plot of land, would go into the ocean, swim, continuously, somehow develop what do they call it? Somehow lose their fur, develop continuous bits of skin. I mean, I know how dogs lose their fur. That's a breed changes, not what do we call it? Evolutionary changes. For some reason, they develop fins so they can swim and a large tail with their hind legs combining. Let it go. Wait, no, that's Elsa. Never mind. Well, what was her name again? Can't remember. Anyway, that mermaid lady. Yeah, that's what they expect. Genuinely intelligent people to actually understand. Okay, yes, we became way. Yes, the dogs became whales. Yippee! Anyway, so yeah, that's my point. Dogs became whales. Theory of evolution makes sense. Humans, monkeys became humans. Specifically, the ancestors that we so have somehow became different species of being. And these different species grew into different species, which then grew into different species. But where are those species? Where's the interconnection that makes a species that is already smart enough to actually survive in a certain environment turn into a completely different species? I like that idea. Makes logic, makes sense, makes people really think. If you think I'm not being sarcastic, then what can I say? Your intelligence is odd. Anyway, I'm gonna real quick check on the evolutionary tree, then come back here. I just learned that koalas and kangaroos are like closely related. I like that idea. I like that that they have giant legs that allow them to actually hop around in their pouch to actually carry their kids. Wait, do koalas have that? Most probably do. I like that. Okay, I'll stop. But what intonations was that? Somehow, you guys just made my faith grow. How? 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 Miracles really do exist. I mean, I already knew that, but that's not the point. It's actually not because of any Bible stories. I've heard miracles myself, so I really do find them quite appropriate and existent. So yeah. But it would take a whole lot of miracles to make the theory of evolution realistic. Like the belief that we're only seeing the branches of our complex genealogy is like saying that there were multiple different stages of creatures, but not even a single one of them, which was a transition big enough to actually show us a change, rational and understandable, happened. Yeah, that makes sense. A big enough change to actually show intersections was never fossilized, even though a large enough population to actually make our races, or should I say our species, because we can only be between species, exist. It's like saying that continuous slight itsy changes, which are, let's think about how old the universe or Earth is said to be. Give me a second. So I tried something and What was my point by that? This is gonna be a bit. My point is evolution still doesn't make sense. Um, millions of years was the Earth is somewhere around 7.543 billion years old. But then it takes millions of changes to for us complex beings to change the way that we look or appear. Millions of years, just slight changes between races which are this, species which are this complex, will take a couple million years. Like how dogs can change into different looking dogs with slight different modifications, would take hundreds of thousands of years, right? Or to just a couple of thousands of years. That's like saying let's multiply that to actually make them a completely different species. We actually have seen a dog breed turning into a completely different species. Have most canines, even ancient ones, can be replicated just because of the genes of animals that are currently existent in our well world. So, so if the similarity between animals which were extinct a very long time ago, it is so well there to the point that they can still breed, then how do we expect different species to actually spawn? Give me an example, just one. Just one example, then you can continue believing in this theory while calling it a theory. Just because a bunch of people agree upon something doesn't always mean it's correct. People say, but the scientists agree on it. They continue to talk about it. Do you know the scientists? Do you know that they're verifiable? Do you know that they actually are trustable? What if they lie? You can't know a person just because of a book that they write. Like how historically many people do good deeds, but most of the time they were actually evil. They make an outward appearance, but they actually not that way outwards. It's like ah unfortunately me. You see, I have a bit of a problem. I got depressed a long time ago, but I made it seem like I was happy and chill that entire time, and nobody ever thought for a second that I was in any way emotionally distressed at that point. Why did I do it? I don't know. Maybe Satan. Who knows? Before you actually think, I got off the gas, it isn't. What I'm just saying is that I do not know why I acted such a way. So I'm just wondering. But that's the belief that atheists do. They think that some weird thing just happened and we just spawned like that. And the explanation that they give is like, yep, God did whenever something doesn't have a scientific explanation, but it's more of God didn't. As a man, as a man that I watched said, it's God didn't. It's evolution did. Genealogy did. The Big Bang did. Things that are complex and they can't explain, they say this did and that did. Wait, why am I doing that? Something's wrong with my mind. So yeah, that's my point. So what am I supposed to do at the end of a video? Am I supposed to say goodbye? Oh wait, I already know. Bye guys, have a great day. And I know some of this stuff doesn't make sense, so do some research. Ask, are there any species that have changed to the point that they're completely different species? To try to actually see the slight changes which they believe equal to actually evolution, which is just a better way to actually live, but our races can still mix. And different dog breeds can still mix. Multiple different animals which are well still the same species can mix. But somehow they expect me to believe that we change species, even though all of the changes that are observable, we're still able to breathe because we're the same species. Guess my mind's going haywire. Yeah, before we to actually ever believe that for even 1 second. Whoop. That's the end of the video. Goodbye, guys.